So going through the registration form, we have a couple of information and so many things that we'll be looking at today from what people have been, trying to bring into our attention. Okay, it's obvious that there are so many persons out there who have the zeal to go. What's happening is that there are a lot of misplacement of priorities. People trying to prioritize things they should be prioritizing at this stage of their career. Okay, so we understand that every career development journey has milestones and there are stages that people undergo before they become experts, before they become professionals in their career. So but what I see happening in tech is situation whereby those who are about to start are trying to place priorities of expert on themselves. Something like having the highest certification, having a computer science degree, having a master's in computer science, a master's in software engineering, and all these big names are coming into stopping people from starting their career. All right, so today we are going to look into some of those things, and also this is going to be a practical section where we'll be having an open-end discussion with everyone. The host and the participants will be opening the floor for everyone to come in and talk and share their mind, share their opinion about what is going on and some of the experiences and some of the challenges that they have been facing. I have a whole lot of challenges that has been submitted so far on the form. And I don't know if I can read them out right now. I will do that as we proceed. Okay. So yeah, thank you guys for honoring this very invitation. I know that you are all very busy with your work, your profession, and so many other things. Irene, I know you are very busy and grateful to be here. It's a lot of sacrifice, and I appreciate it so much. Thank you very much for this. The same with you, Patrick. I understand that you are very busy as well. Everyone is busy. For someone to spare 1 hour, 2 hours, 30 minutes of their time, to share their experience and help others to grow. This is a whole lot of selfless effort, bringing people on board. And I will also, like our audience, to sit tight and hear from us what we'll be giving out today. If at any point you have any question, just feel free to drop it on the comment section. We'll be attending to the questions in the comment section as much as we can. And also, please understand that this session will not be ending today. This is going to be a forever session. I don't know when it will stop, but we intend to have this on a weekly basis. As long as we are seeing the value coming in, we are seeing that people are being, getting the impact in what we are doing, right? So, to just get started, first of all, I want to welcome you all again on today's session. Today's session is about starting your career with zero experience. Okay, so whether you are a newbie, whether you're a student, whether you're curious about tech or whatsoever level you are in your career journey, this is the right place for you. So always find your time on every Thursday by 3 p.m. to join us here. Bring in your questions, bring in your experiences, and we're going to share our own. We're going to make effort to ensure that we share our own experience with you and see how we can wrap things together to give you an amazing and a very flexible transition into tech for those who are still moving into tech. Okay, so I have a lot of amazing people joining me today. Rinze, the co-founder of Talent, and Patrick, also a software engineer here at Softzenith. So they are so cool and they have a lot for you. They have a lot to tell you and they have a lot to share with you. So for now, I'm going to introduce myself and I'll give them the floor to introduce themselves before we proceed with more of what we have for today. So my name is Prince Chisomaga. I reside in Lagos. I'm a software engineer based in Nigeria. Okay, so I have full, full like some couple of years of experience, about 6 years plus of active experience in software development. And today in this session, I'll be joining my colleagues here in sharing my experience so far across the entire 6 years, how I started and what has been happening all through my journey, all through these 6 years time, and actually what inspired me to start this session and what inspired Softzenith to have this session with you guys. Okay. So Arinze, please, I want you to go first, and after Patrick can go first. So thank you so much. You have the mic.
All right. Thank you very much, Prince. Patrick, you could also check there's a private chat. Just check it.
Okay.
All right. My name is Arinze Ine. I'm a technical product manager. I also do product marketing and a number of other things. Co-founder at Talents. It's a company that's trying to accelerate talent supply to the world. I'm looking forward to share from my experience here on the session. See how we can help you get started in your career in tech. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Uh, all right, all right, okay. I think the audience are complaining of the sound, but they're saying that it's fine now. Thank you so much, Arinze, for that introduction. Okay, so Patrick, can we hear from you as well? Try it's okay.
Okay, I'm Patrick Anthony, um, a software developer based here in EU. Um, Over the years, I've worked with a couple of startups and companies, and I'm a computer engineer by academic me, and also software developer at Softzenith. I'm really glad to uh, be on this session, and I hope to share my experience here with everyone.
All right, so much. Thank you so much, Patrick. Thank you for that brave and precise introduction. Okay, so we're talking about starting. We're talking about making the first step, taking the first step in your career. And we all understand that for everyone here who has taken or spent some years in tech, let's say 5 years, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years, whatsoever number of years you have spent in tech, you understand that there was a time that you never started. There was a time when you were planning to start, and also when you started, there was also some challenges, and as well, how do you conquer those challenges? Because, for instance, I started building before ever getting admission into the university. All right, I deployed my first website. I think about 2 months before I gained admission into the university. Okay, so this is one of the reasons and one of the encouragement that I have that someone can start a technical career, a tech career without having a university degree. Not just because I feel it's possible. I know it's possible, and it's possible. It was possible with me, so it will be possible with every other person. Okay. So, but before we proceed, Arinze, I just want you to tell us one of the things you do at Talent, and you can tell us like a little bit about Talent and what you guys do. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, Talent is a software company. We are building a two-sided marketplace. On one side, we help creators and businesses to host and monetize their knowledge. Right. So think of creating bootcamps, courses, and more product types coming soon. And then on the other side, we help users to discover these products that have been created by creators and businesses. Aside the core software, we also run a number of programs and boot camps to help people in their career journey, from starting a career to building their skills, finding a job, and things in that direction. So I basically lead the company as CEO. I also do product management. I have design programs and execute those programs, and a number of other things. Basically, like anything that needs to be done, just work on that.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's a very nice introduction, and I really love what you guys are doing at Talent so much. And I know you know that for a long time I've always looked up to the speed and the progress you guys have been making so far, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much. From my introduction, it's obvious that this aspect of helping beginners has always been your dream, and that's one of the reasons why I decided actually to bring you on board as one of our first speakers in this session. The last time we met, I think that was some years ago, or 2 or 3 years ago, we were discussing about uh, people, how to help onboard people into tech, because the current situation of things, we have a lot of platforms and have a lot of processes, but people don't know where exactly to start and how exactly to start. And this has been one of the major things we have been trying to rectify our talent. And so far, the progress has been mind blowing. Thank you so much for that. And I also appreciate your entire team as well. Okay.
Thank you very
So
much. Thank you.
today, yeah. Today you see there are different stages in a career or someone building his career. There are different stages. Every career has it. A medical doctor was once a student, sometime a practicing student, and goes into internship. From internship, he does some other things. I'm not a doctor, but I just want to use that as an example. And after a while, he becomes a consultant and other stuffs, right? The same applies in tech. Okay, there are priorities that we should consider, and before we consider these priorities, you need to understand your stage and your strengths in tech. What do you see yourself as? Are you a beginner? Are you an expert? Are you a professional? What level are you in tech? Are you about to start? Right? So this is one of the things I want us to address in this session, because I see people looking at professional criteria, professional requirements as the basics for them to start in tech. There are things that you start needing, or some requirements that will become your priority when you advance in your career, not when you are about to start. Okay. I see persons who are looking out for degrees in computer science just to get started, and they have been taking courses online, but they don't have the confidence to start building something, right? So, how on earth will you convince a company to hire you when you have not even tried something? Okay, you've not ever tried anything. Some persons prioritize certification more than their GitHub portfolio, their GitHub profile. What's a proof of experience? What do you have to show, right? What do you have to show to people that this is what I've done? I can still remember the first job I got as a backend engineer. In during the interview session, there are so many questions. I was asked a lot of questions. One of them was to introduce myself. I was asked to introduce myself. Yeah, I introduced myself. I introduced my career experience and whatsoever. Then I didn't really have much experience to show that this is what I've been doing, because I just started barely few months into tech, right? So, but something happened during I studied the job description, and in the course of the interview, I, I was asked to show what I have been doing for the past number of months, just to show what has been happening, what has been going on with my career. And I pulled up a project I had. That was my first project ever. So I pulled it up. I just tried to show them one or two things. I showed them around. I displayed the functionalities to the recruiter, and he was impressed. Why? I didn't have any certification. I've not actually taken any course like that gave me a certification, and I was barely in my second year, I think, or yeah, close to my second year in the university. I've not gotten my degree yet, right? So, but these guys hired me and they were paying me. Why? They saw the proof of my experience. I was able to show them that this is what I have done. So, what if I was somewhere waiting to graduate before applying? Do you understand it? So, what if I had not made that attempt? What if I have not gathered the things I've been learning over the years to put up something for people to show? I mean, for people to see what I have been doing and what I have done. I would have gotten that job. And there are so many persons who will be joining us today, who will be listening to us today, that actually have what it takes to put out something. What does it take? Sometimes your phone, sometimes it's just your laptop and one or two editors and other stuff. You write something to show that this is what you can do. And there is someone out there, it may be as an intern, it may be at whatever position that may be taking you as. But one thing is that you don't need a degree to start. And this is just my experience. And I'll actually want Arinze to throw more light on this. Why do you think that a degree is not that necessary in starting your career in tech?
All right. Thank you very much for the question, friends. I think there are different ways to look at it. There are really different ways to look at it, and I'd walk through two different viewpoints that you can consider. Don't forget the question is: Why don't I need a degree to start? Basically, we are saying if you are interested in a career in tech, you should get started, even if you don't have a degree yet, or you have a degree, but your degree isn't a technical degree. So yeah, there are two ways to think about it. At the end of the day, what's required in the job market is your ability to deliver, right? To deliver on the requirements on the job description. So whether you acquired the skill set, the knowledge and the skill set to deliver on that job from a structured degree program or from learning on your own. There's something called autodidacts. That's like people who like learn on their own, or maybe by using online courses or online boot camps or whatever way. The question is, do you have the skill set and can you deliver on the job, right? So provided you can learn the skill and then deliver the requirements, that's like the thing that's required of you, you are good to go, right? You do not need a degree to get started. Think of it as think of people who studied, say, law or studied accounting, and eventually they get a job in a manufacturing firm or something like that. What happens in that scenario is by the time you get a job, you begin to learn the skill, the trade, the domain expertise on the job, right? And by the time you have built enough skill sets, you can begin to gain like promotion, get like leadership positions. People studied something else and then start a business. You didn't study business administration or entrepreneurship in school, but like what's needed to start a business is basically the skills, the understanding of the market, and all of this stuff. So provided you can acquire that skill, then a degree shouldn't be what's stopping you. Then another way to look at it is the fact that um in the tech world, like knowledge is growing faster than university degrees can even catch up. Like where if you think about it, knowledge is invented mostly in industry. And what I mean by that is one of the biggest jobs out there today is you have like UI UX design or using a framework to build no code development. Where's the best place to learn Figma or Framer? From people who are building the tool, the engineers at Figma, or a designer who has used Figma again and again and they know how to use it very skillfully, versus your university lecturer who, as of the time he became a professor, Figma had not yet been invented. So he doesn't even know about the tool. So if you go to university to study product design, yeah, you're going to learn a lot of things, but you probably won't even learn the new technology tools are out there in the market, right? So the same way with AI, right? Open AI, XAI, Meta, these guys are inventing AI. If you're in school studying AI, many of these tools are just out there. The best way to learn them is out there in the industry, right? So knowledge is growing faster than university degrees and programs can catch up with. So you don't have to assume that until you're in a university program, you cannot acquire knowledge. The reason that most knowledge is first of all invented in industry, in the place of work, and then school programs now go ahead and accumulate that knowledge and then design them into a structured program, which is what you now come and enroll in. So if you think about it that way, thinking from first principles, it just delivers you from that dependency of saying that I cannot start because I don't have a degree. That should be the list of your excuses. Right? You can acquire the knowledge and demonstrate the skill that's needed for the job, then you are good to go.
Very, very perfect. Like I can really catch a whole lot of things from the presentation. Very, very cool. Because see, look at it. Hands on, your experience has a greater proof than whatsoever you claim that you know. Okay, if you can show me that I can do ABC, I will give you a try. I'll tell you to do it. But if you're telling me that, yeah, I can do ABC without a proof of what shows that you can do it, doubt comes in. Okay, so thank you so much, Arinze. Like, I appreciate that very point of yours, where the industries giving us a practical are the driving force in our era today. Okay, look at it now. OpenAI is making a whole lot of active move in the artificial intelligence industry. But when you go into your classrooms, when you go into the lecture rooms, when you go into, among your lecturers and other stuff, I'm not saying they're not making impact, but you find out that they need to learn to teach you, and they learn from the practice in the industrial aspect of it. Okay, so now looking at what we have, especially in our time, most of the inventions and innovations that are coming in are coming out for schools to use them. So, who is driving them? If schools are waiting to use these innovations, it should tell you that whosoever invented them didn't just rely on schools to invent them. It still goes to hands on. I'm not saying schools are not necessary, but there are, like you said, there are different aspects to this. Learning is not just about school. You can learn outside of school and you can learn from school, right? So you can learn with experience, you can learn with practice. And this is the reason why we are here. There is an aspect that having a degree solves for you in your career, okay, but it is not a core requirement for you to start. This is what we're trying to explain to you guys right now. Okay, there are different persons out there. Some persons studied political science and they're experts in tech. I mean, they are bad programmers. I've had barristers, political scientists, even some people study electrical engineering and different other disciplines that are not related to computer science doing very well in tech. Okay. I mean, so whatsoever thing that must have given them this knowledge is not just about going to school and getting a degree for you to start. So you can start with the little you know. Okay. So, and for us to go deeper into this, I would like us to hear from Patrick about how he started. Because if all said and done about telling you that you can't, really you don't need a degree to get started without showing you some real life experiences, without sharing these experiences with you, may not be convinced. So I want us to hear from Patrick. So Patrick, please, how did you start your career? You are a software engineer today with some years of experience. I've worked with some companies, many companies out there, right? So how did you start your career and what was the experience like starting?
Okay, how I started my career, I would say, well, I'm going to quote, I'm going to make a quote from what you said earlier, right? That you don't need a certificate to start, but there are some things that certificate may help you achieve in your career, as you advance. So how I started, I didn't start with a degree, right? Yes, fine. Um, um, a bachelor of engineering, computer engineering, right? But that's by the way. Talking about my career, I didn't start with a degree. I started without a degree, and how I basically started was now the tech has made it so well that that's there are lots of resources. I mean, you can basically learn anything you want to learn right now, right? Without um, need for anyone to teach you, right? So how I started, I would say I'm more of a self-taught, developer. Like anything I want to learn, I teach myself, right? I I make use of a lot of resources, right? And I make sure I understand it by myself. Now, I grow up in an environment that it's not so techy, right? If there's an English like that, right? So my environments where I grew up, learning tech, there were not so much developers around. There were not so much communities around, right? So you just have to do stuff yourself. You just have to figure out things yourself and try to put yourself out there. I mean, if you don't, then you automatically know that your career is there. So how I started with, you know, um, online resources. But before then, I would say I I actually got enrolled to learning the Microsoft 360 packages, right? Like the MS Word, the Excel, access, and the rest. So while I was learning that, right, I think my tutor then talked about HTML, and you randomly said HTML, and I'm one of these curious persons that if someone mentions something, I don't stop there. I try to like know what that is actually about. So when you mentioned HTML, I was like, what's HTML? So everyone forget about that. But I went back, after that day to actually look at what HTML is. So and I got to know that okay, HTML is actually used to design website, and that was interesting, right? I mean, design website. And when I now went further, right, I noticed that the same thing I'm doing with MS Word, right? Like you have something like bold, B, right? So they were all interwoven, they were related, right? Bold for B for bold, and you can actually do that you know on the web, right? You can as well do that with MS Word. So I mean it was simple, right? It was simple and fun. So I would say I started probably doing it by fun and didn't even have the intention of making a career out of it, right? So as I progress, a little bit of research. So you see that it's about curiosity. It's basically about trying to know, trying to learn, right? You are not satisfied, with what you know, and you're always striving to know. So that's a bit of my mindset back then, right? So after I probably learned HTML, I got to know that okay, there's something else called CSS. Okay, you don't have to like design website like that. If you design website without just with HTML, right, it's not going to look nice. It's going to look horrible. And that's when CSS come in then. And I was like, what's CSS? Okay. I went online and saw that okay, CSS is for styling. Just like if you're building a house, you need to like paint it, right? And when you paint the house, it beautifies it. So it began to make sense, right? And I just kept trying to like figure out how things work. So the whole thing was trying to figure out how things work, right? The whole thing was about figuring out how things work. I mean, the curiosity, right? Okay, this is used for this. Why? Why exactly? Why do I need this to do this? Right? So I wasn't really waiting for someone to direct me,
to,
right?
to
I
push
was I
you.
wasn't waiting
Yeah,
to
yeah.
yeah to push me to be spoon fed, right? I wasn't waiting to be spoon fed. So I got the drive and I was trying to, you know, just figure out how things work. That was basically the idea. Let me just see how things work, right? So that actually um pushed me to not stop at MS Word access, right? I mean, then MS Word was fun. I mean, I can't lie, it was fun. Okay, I got to like learn. There's this game, Mavis Bacon, right, where you type right without looking at the keyboard. I mean, that was really
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. Yeah,
I mean, even
that's
up
true.
even up to now,
I remember that as well. I had that experience.
yeah, even up, even up to now, I can literally type without looking at the keyboard, right? So, but
Uh,
that was basic, and as the passion increased, I didn't want to do that. That's not what I want to do. I didn't want to like become a typist, right? And that's how it all started. Okay, after CSS, I got to know that you don't stop here. Even with your HTML and CSS knowledge, you can't stop there. There's still so much to learn. I was like, which one is JavaScript now? I was now hearing programming language. I was like, maybe I thought HTML is programming language. And there's this debate, right? I think it's more like a global debate that HTML is a programming language. Some will say HTML is not a programming language and stuff like that, right? So I was like, what's a programming language? And I got to know that this HTML I'm even learning, this CSS, they are not even programming languages. So, and I've not even started. I was like, okay, let's do this again. And I that's how I picked up JavaScript. So I
Sure.
started
Wow.
learning, and that's how I started.
And here
And
you are today. You are still learning.
I'm still learning. Yeah, and learning never ends, right?
Yeah, wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate
Thank you.
that experience. You see, one of the things that we need to understand and that helps every career person is a network of people that can share real life experience with you. I can remember some time ago in the past, I didn't have that. Sometimes I was like, I needed someone to encourage me. It was not as if I wasn't getting the courage, but you know how it is here sometimes, bugs and so many things can even throw you off balance and you don't feel like pushing the whole stuff again. But thank you so much for sharing this experience. And there is something very, very important that I was able to pick from your presentation, right? Curiosity, right? That is one thing that everybody needs. You need to be curious. You need to ask questions. How are things happening? What is going on? What's in trend? What's happening? How did this come to happen? You see, tech is about problem solving. And what most companies are looking for out there are people that can solve problems, people that can go out there and get answers to problems. There are a lot of problems in the industry, and if you can pick up a task of trying to solve a problem, no matter how insignificant that problem is, I'm telling you, it is going to make a difference in your pursuit. Okay, so well, how we started earlier, I like the fact that you shared your background from where you started, because some persons feel like, okay, tech is for those whose parents are rich, possibly they had a laptop, they had a desktop growing up, and from there they picked it up, started practicing with it. Those who have used a laptop for a long time, and they feel more comfortable, driving it in tech. But that's not the fact. The fact that personally for you, you didn't come from that background, like you say, the techie background. You didn't have someone around you who was really telling you, spoon feeding you, telling you to do this, press this key and press that key. It was just about your curiosity. Your curiosity drove you into learning. Your curiosity drove you into searching for answers to the things we are seeing, to the things happening around you. It drove you into YouTube, drove you to Google, searching for answers. And in the course of doing this, you were able to put up the necessary skills that are required in what you are doing right now. So thank you so much for this experience. I really, really appreciate it so much. And I know that our audience also appreciates you sharing your background, everything, and how you're able to come up to these heights in your career. Okay. So one thing that one complaint that I've noticed about people who want to start their career is with their devices, right? Some persons complain that I don't have a laptop. Some tell you that, yeah, I need a laptop to start. Okay. I need a laptop to do this. Without a laptop, I can start. And some end up waiting for years to start. We're talking about starting. We're not talking about working. There's a difference between you are getting a job as a software engineer and you are about to start a software engineering career. They are not the same. So stop. You need to balance these things and see what are the most or the core. Personally, I see discipline as one. You need to factor in discipline to the point that you can sit down at one thing, learn focus, learn to pay attention to what you are doing, learn to persevere, learn how you can focus on something and get it done. Be curious, you need to be hungry. These are some of the fundamental things that you need in tech. Without giving up, you need to push regardless of what is happening around you. Okay, so I've had some parts of my career where I had some challenges. So I would also want Arinze to throw more light on how can someone, you know, start a tech career. There are different careers in tech, and you mentioned some of them like product design, software engineering, business analysis, graphics design, data analysis, and so many of them. how can someone possibly start a career, and what kind of career with his or her smartphone? Because I believe that smartphones are very common. At least we have persons who have smartphones more than people who own a laptop. Okay, so it will be easier if our audience can hear from you and see what they can do with their smartphones, because so many of them are currently waiting to get a laptop before they can start a career. Okay, so if it would take maybe 1 year to get a laptop and the person can start something with a smartphone, so how can the person start, and what can the person start doing at this stage? Thank you. Over to you, Amiza.
All right. Thank you very much, Prince, for that question. I think it's something I've also seen a lot of. Something I also experienced personally when I was starting my career. I didn't have like a laptop I could use to learn, and I was in university at the time. So I think that the first thing I want to address is the fact that if you are listening to me and you are in that position, you have a good smartphone, but you do not have a laptop, your concern, your emotions are valid. Like they are very valid. In the ideal scenario, you should have an environment where the gadgets and enabling resources that you need to learn as a younger person is provided for you. But the reality right now is that you do not have it, right? So what could happen is you could have a very good reason. Well, I didn't have a laptop. Nobody could provide that for me. You could have a very genuine, a very legitimate reason why you failed in life, and anybody can hear your story 10 years later and say, "Oh my God, it wasn't your fault, man. You didn't have a laptop. Nobody could provide for you." And they just empathize with you, but then you still failed, right? And that's your life. You still carry that cross all your life. Or you could have a reason and say, I don't have anybody to provide a laptop for me. I don't have enough money to buy a laptop right now. But that will not be the reason why I fail. Despite that fact, despite that that situation, I'm going to figure out a way to solve this challenge and learn the skill I need to move on to the next level in life. So I heard Mr. Jex Africa say this at School of Good Africa. He said you can have a strong why you failed, or you can have a strong why that you can say, despite this why, I still succeeded nonetheless, right? And I think you'd want the later one to be a story whereby, yes, you didn't have someone to provide a laptop for you, yes, you didn't have enough money, but 10 years later, you're very successful, and people can now draw inspiration from your story. So you just choose which is going to be your story. And I think that's the first foundation I want to lay in that direction. So now if you're in the second group chat and you want to have reasons that made you succeed despite the challenges, you can come closer now. All right. So how do you go ahead with just a smartphone, right? How do you go ahead with just a smartphone? You don't have a laptop. Um, First off, there are like different things you can do with your phone. If you want to learn, say how to code, there are software platforms like SoloLearn. I don't know how many of us use SoloLearn. It breaks down like different programming languages from Python, JavaScript, even HTML, CSS that Patrick talked about, C Sharp, and those things. Has modules that helps you learn the basics. So the basics would include the syntax, the function, object-oriented programming, and all of those things. Right? You can learn those basics pending when you can get a laptop to upgrade to. Now that's one of it. There are also tools like Replit, replit.com that you can go to. It's basically a cloud-based IDE that you can use to learn how to code and actually practice your code. I want you to put yourself in the shoes of people that were in like 1990, 1995. Most of these guys, when they were in school learning how to code, they learned how to code with pen and paper. Like I literally have somebody in my circle who is currently CTO of a very big startup today, and he still has access to his books that he used to write code on paper, right? So if people were in that situation, you actually don't have an excuse, right? You can watch Coursera videos, Udemy videos, YouTube videos to understand the syntax, the use cases, how to use it, and you can also practice with mobile applications like Replit, like SoloLearn. There are like also many other online browser-based IDs that you can use. Tools like Cursor right now, I think that Cursor recently released a web app. You can actually use the web app to also code from your phone. I guess I'm not certain about that, but I mean that wipes away that excuse. Something else you can also do is to use public libraries or devices of your friends, right? So if you show enough tenacity, enough traction if you show enough like decisiveness to learn and grow, if you go to a library, I don't think they will deny you access. Back then at the University of Lagos, I was studying mathematics at the University of Lagos. I used to be at the library, and when I really picked up the passion to like learn tech, I'd be at the library. Library opens 9 a.m. in the morning. I'd be there 9 a.m. and they would tell us that we have just 2 hours to use the computer at the e-library in the main library. So once the 2 hours is has been exhausted, I'm watching the librarian. I'm hoping he doesn't catch me. I'll change computers and all of this stuff. And by the time he finally spots me, I'll leave there. I'll go to MTN library downstairs at the right. And I use it for another 2 hours. By the time they catch me, I'll go back to the e-library. And at the end of the day, I'll leave the library by 9 p.m. So I did like 9 to 9. I sort of stabbed a lot of classes. And then I was only not present till 9 p.m. on days I had fellowship. I needed to attend fellowship meetings at church, right? So, but I mean, that was like a lot of background for this. So you could use borrowed devices. You could go to public libraries. You could talk to a friend and say, "Oh, can I just have your laptop for 2 hours? Can I just use your laptop today overnight?" You can batch process. Or Monday to Wednesday, I'm going to watch this number of videos and learn them. Then on Friday and on Thursday and Friday, my friends will borrow his laptop for 2 nights straight, and I'm going to practice. Then that routine every week. That's one way to go about it. Then finally, you should understand that having a laptop is actually a more efficient way to learn and practice. So you can actually set a plan, a working plan to get a laptop. And one of those things you could do is, as you're learning, tell your story online, right? Build in public. This is what I'm learning today. This is what I'm doing on my phone. I wish I had a laptop. I don't have a laptop, but this is what I've done so far. I think I watched somebody recently do something like that. I was building projects on LinkedIn and was sharing his projects in real time online. This person has a laptop, mind you, but I think HP laptop was normal laptops. But somebody that's based in Dubai like saw his story and his consistency and was like, "Oh my God, I love what you're doing. I'm going to give you a project to help me do, and I'm going to send you a MacBook." And then the person sent him like a brand new M4 MacBook, right, all the way from Dubai. Received this
Wow.
in Nigeria alongside money for the project that he actually built for him. You can actually catch people's empathy online if you can show traction. Don't people don't run charity organizations. They don't say because you are poor they pity you and give you money. No, people say, "My God, despite your
Yeah.
situation, look at the traction, look at your doggedness, right?" And people are attracted to those kind of stories, and then they want to help you. Another way to go about it is to actually save, right? You don't have to start with a brand new laptop. You don't have to start with a MacBook. You could say like 150,000 in naira. Equivalent of that to like maybe $100, $80, and buy fairly used devices, right? That's something you could do. You could also go and accumulate success stories, right? There's this thing I tell people in the Nigerian culture, parents and families already have a budget for you to learn work. Learn a trade. Parents and families have a budget for it. So if you are done with secondary school, they'll pay for you to go and learn barbing or learn hairdressing or learn mechanic or something like that. And most times they would also save up money and help you buy your first machine. Villan Tailoring, they help you buy your first machine. That means if they were educated enough to understand that your journey in tech is a potential gold mine that can bring money in the future, they would also sacrifice to buy those gadgets for you. It's now your job to educate them. So being ignorant of the fact that there's a knowledge gap is your own fault, right? So go and take, like, for example, a link to this live session that we're talking about right now, link to success stories of people who have been successful in tech. Go and check the story of Paystack, these guys. Accumulate all of them and then sit to your parents and show them videos and say, "See how this guy made $200 million. Man, I'm learning it too. All I need right now is a laptop." And just show them success story, tell them what you are doing, show them your progress, and tell them all you need is a laptop, and see if they would not like work towards saving to get your laptop, even if it's a fairly used one, even if it's a low budget one, because there's no parent that usually or not typically doesn't want to see their children succeed. So you don't have to manage it all through the 1 year. You can also actively set up a plan to get people to come to your aid, reach people in your environment, tell them these stories, tell them what you have done, show them your traction, build a project with your phone. So this website, I've done it. Go to a company. I revamped your website. I built it with my phone. But I would like support to get the laptop. I've already saved at 5,000 naira. Can you help me with 100,000, 150,000? Just be creative, be dogged, and don't allow your situation define your future. Thank you.
Wow. 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 I I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to say right now. Like you've dealt with this situation. I'm telling you, because I even feel encouraged because at some point I know, and I know so much that there is always a gap between when you become comfortable in tech and then when you are driving towards comfort. Okay. And one thing you should understand, and one thing you should always try your best to do, like he has said, is to maximize your growth period. There is a growth period when you are trying to start, you're struggling to start, you're making effort to start. Don't stop making that effort. Every one person that has come to strong, big heights in tech today, right? Maximize those period where they were trying to grow. Okay. I have my own story. He has a story, and I'm even surprised that his story is somehow very familiar to mine. It was then in UNN. It was not just about I had a laptop when I got admission to UNN, but I was having power issues. The area where I was staying then in school, they had this downtime, and we were not having electricity. So the only way for me to learn was to come inside school. And at some point, at some part of school, we were not even having electricity then. So the only way again was free computers in the library. I remember that sometimes I have to stand up because some of the computers in the library they were not in a good, should I say, sitting position for you to sit down and work with them. You need to stand and use them, right? So I would stand up for hours using the public PC in the library, just for me to keep going, right? So I could have said, well, there's no light, there's no electricity. Let me relax and wait for the day that electricity will come. One thing is that your career is like a house. See yourself, you are building a house. Okay. This house can only grow when you add blocks to it, right? So if you are making effort to adding blocks to the building, you will always see an evident experiential fact about your growth. Okay, but if you always have reasons, like you said, there's always a bigger why. If you always have reasons not to add your blocks, you would see your neighbor adding his blocks and his building will be growing. Some persons are adding 1 block per day, some are adding 2 blocks, 3 blocks, but all ensure that you are adding something to your growth on a daily basis at every cost. I mean, no matter what, right? With everything you have within your disposal. Is it a phone? Maximize it. Is it electricity? Maximize it. Is it internet? Maximize it. And I'm talking to students actually. For some persons are in schools and they are struggling to have money to purchase and buy internet data. You have some areas in school where you can use your free Wi-Fi and the rest. Okay, so try to push yourself. Ensure that you maximize every opportunity around you into getting to see that your career is growing, right? So thank you so much, Arinze. I enjoyed this your presentation and I enjoyed the experience you have shared with us, especially when it has to do with perseverance. Trying to push yourself, trying to maximize what you have, trying to maximize the time and the resources available, not waiting for the best time. Of course, the best time will come, but while waiting for the best time, you should keep your hands busy with something. Right? Thank you so much. At this point, we know that we are talking to a particular set of people who are trying to start their career. They've not yet made much progress, but they are about to make progress. Okay. And I heard Patrick mention that he didn't actually wait for someone to teach him. Okay. He didn't wait for someone to push him into starting. That he started with what he had. He started with the resources available. So please, I know that there are some persons here who are listening to us who would want to know some of these resources that you laid your hands on. Okay. For me, I know I use platforms like YouTube. I use articles online because I like reading a lot. Okay, I like reading a lot. So I read a lot of articles that encouraged me to start. So Patrick, please, can you just chip in within like 2 minutes? Tell us some of these platforms, some of these practical, resources, free resources that helped you to grow your career.
Okay. Well, I would say just like you say, I'm also a curious learner, right? I'm a curious learner, and um, how I actually learn is, I don't stick to one platform, right? I try to gather knowledge, from various and different sources. On one of the sources, was Google, right? So when I started, AI was not, rampant, right? It's, AI wasn't rampant, and I had to use Google. I use Google. I use Stack Overflow, right? So Stack Overflow is a community, of techies developers, right? So a problem you have now, someone, must have had it, in some other parts of the world, right? And that's Stack Overflow for you. So you can always go there, search such answers, and see how those persons were able to come up with a solution, right? So Google, Stack Overflow, I use YouTube, right? Now, how I learn is if I do not understand a particular concept, right, I can just go on YouTube and search how to center a div. Let's assume I don't know how to center a div for developers, right? Or let's assume I don't know how to download an IDE or any program that will help me, achieve whatever I want to, right? So I can just go on YouTube and say how to download XYZ program, right? And I watch a video on that particular concept until I understand it, right? So that's YouTube. I made use of, okay, some websites like I think Free Code Cam, um, some YouTube channels like I think Code with Much, Coding with Much, Nets Ninja. I use W3 School, right? So W3 School is like documentation where a particular thing you want to learn was already documented. So you can just go through all the different concepts, all the different topics in that particular thing you want to learn. W3 School. So yeah, I actually use a lot of resources, and also I use PDFs, right? I use PDF. That's books. Yeah, I read books. So I basically use different
Yeah,
resources.
that's
Any
free
resource,
resources online. Yeah.
yeah, free resources online, that is going to help me understand, what I want to learn. I'm going to use it. Now, then so some people actually, have the financial ability to actually buy courses, right? Then I wasn't financially, capable of getting those
Oh
paid
yeah.
courses, and yeah, I had to, get the free ones. And believe me, I will confidently say that I was able to learn even more than what, the persons that probably bought, courses, learn. So it's just all about, curiosity and, yeah, always that drive to learn, right? I mean, if you need it so much, that you work towards it, I think the universe always have a way of giving it to you.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate so much of the in-depth resources that you have shared. And this can only come from someone that has actually passed through this path. Okay, people can tell you so many things, but when you hear it from the horse's mouth, it doesn't sound the same. Okay, so thank you so much. There are many of them. You have Free Code Camp, we have W3 School, we have Solo Learn, we have um, OCW. I think OCW for MIT is one of the biggest places that have actually taken very quality courses from, and they are free. That's OpenCourseware, MIT OpenCourseware. You can search for them, go online. There are so many of those things out there. And this is not just for software engineers, for other people as well, UI, UX designers, business analysts, and so many of them. Even Coursera. Coursera has some free courses that you can take. Something that you can start with, not always the best. It may not be the best, but at least you can start with this until you get to the point where you can afford to pay for courses yourself, right? So thank you so much. I think we are coming to the end of today's session. We've had a whole lot of amazing time together. For those who are online currently live with us, if you have any question, I think we can take few minutes. We've already passed, supposed to end by 4, but we can take few minutes to attend to your questions. Just drop your questions on the chat box. I'm going to allow some, let's say, 3 to 5 minutes for you to drop your questions on the chat box, and we see how much we can attend to these questions and do justice to these
Um,
questions and provide a real life experience. Yeah.
yeah. So Prince,
Okay.
before
Want
we
to say something?
yeah, while we wait for the question to come in, just add to the resources. I
Okay.
mean, like Patrick mentioned,
Okay.
when he started, AI wasn't like available as much. But yeah, so now that AI is also available, please ensure to maximize AI. So they can literally craft customized curriculums for you based on your strengths, your current um, position in your career journey, and your weaknesses, right? So please use AI tools a lot. Use ChatGPT to ask, I want to learn this, give me the best 3 resources. Oh, I want to learn this. I prefer to learn in video format. I prefer to learn from an Indian teacher that is teaching it very simple, as simply as possible, right? So use AI to
Very easy. Yeah.
for resources as much as possible. Then aside that, there's this platform also, roadmap.sh. I'm going to type it in the YouTube comments. Roadmap.sh. I think I just sent it. You could also visit it. It has like this web format, map format, mapping of different career roadmaps, starting from software engineering to non-technical career paths. Includes product management, DevOps, product design, and all those things. So you see beginner, where to start, topics to look out for, introduction, this, that, that. So you can use that as like some form of benchmark to guide you while you learn. So I hope that that's useful.
Wow. Thank you so much for bringing in this aspect of learning uh, free resources. I almost forgot, and that's the king of everything. I learned this strategy, this new strategy myself, and this is what I've been doing because I'm also learning. The difference is that what I'm learning, the things I'm trying to learn now, are not the same as what beginners are trying to learn. So the fact is that tech is an evolving field, so you keep learning and you always need to learn, right? So there's this strategy I've been using recently. So let's say I want to learn how to design a website. I'll just go to ChatGPT and say, first of all, because when you ask so many questions to ChatGPT, it tends to give you not very precise and concise response. So it gives more like an overview, right? So, but when you make it a bit brief and precise, it gives you a quick and a response tailored to that question, right? So I'll ask ChatGPT, can you give me a learning like a scheme or a course outline for UI UX design, and ChatGPT will give me a very robust course outline for that. So the next thing, I'll pick the first course outline and say, can you explain this to me or possibly recommend the resources that I can use to learn this topic? Or can you explain this topic in a detailed way to me so I can understand it? So going with this strategy, you can literally make ChatGPT your teacher while you are learning, while you're trying to, without even going around the whole internet, because ChatGPT does that for you. It will actually go around, get the most suitable resources out there and the feedback out there to help you learn. Right. So I think there are no much questions coming in, and we have a whole lot of things to discuss. We would have discussed about some friendly tech rules, the journey of becoming a self-taught developer, just like Patrick has mentioned, and some very important things that you needed to understand as a beginner, things like networking, things like freelancing, and things like research and many other topics that I would like us to discuss. But because we are running out of time, I think we're going to end it here today. And I promise you that we'll be back next week, Thursday, right? So this session will still hold next week, Thursday, and we'll continue from where we stopped. So please kindly like and subscribe to this channel. Turn on the notification bell so that you get notified whenever we start our programs. But at the same time, 3 p.m. West African time, we are all in West Africa, so this time actually works for us, right? So, and if you at any point you have a question, feel free to drop your question on this chat box at any point. We'll always attend to them. And we have a registration form attached to the description of this uh, this session. So when you look at the description, you're going to see a registration form. Please, you can use that form to reach out to us. Tell us more about your experience, your level, and everything that you need to know from us. And if you have any question as well, uh, would allow you look at our social media platforms. You can reach out to us on Facebook, Softzenith. You can reach out to us on LinkedIn. You can reach out to us on X. Just search for Softzenith. You would see our profile and you can engage us from there. So Arinze is here. I don't know if you don't mind. You can also share your social media platforms so that they can as well reach out to you if any one of them needs to ask you any question, or maybe they want to engage you personally, and that's why they can also follow you on your most active social media platform. So I will also do it. Let me drop mine. So I'll drop mine as well. So if you want to reach out to us individually, you can do that. Okay. So on LinkedIn, I'm very much active on LinkedIn, and can reach out to me on LinkedIn, please. So Patrick, you can also drop your if you don't mind.
Yeah, so LinkedIn preferably, very active on LinkedIn as Aaron
Yeah.
say. Yeah. So yeah, I'd look forward to answering your question.
Thank you. Thank you,
And you.
everyone. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for joining this session. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And tell your friends to join us next week. We'll continue with more practical sessions, more practical discussions on this. I think, Patrick. Okay. So, and
Okay, yeah.
until next time, have a nice day. Bye, everyone. Bye.